Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Rupp Report. I am your host, Tyler Russell, joined by co-host Israel Schill. And before we hop into anything of today's episode, going over the loss at Auburn, the win over South Carolina, and a Vanderbilt preview, I do real quick want to shout out the men's hockey team, the United States, bringing home the gold medal. Obviously, pretty much has nothing to do with Kentucky basketball, aside from that fact that it's the United States and Kentucky's in the USA. But that is just a major part of sports history. And for anyone that watched it live or, just being alive at this time and a sports fan witnessing that was really cool. I know my dad was texting me that he had some of the same nervous excitement that he had during that 1980 Miracle on Ice. I don't really think it's up there with that from what I heard about it, but still, that's just unbelievable, and I wanted to shout them out for that. But now we have to move to a loss at Auburn for Kentucky basketball. Auburn entered the game on a five-game losing streak, wrong side of the NCAA tournament bubble. Takeaway, career high 29 points, but the Cats fell 75 to 74, and that marked a three-game losing streak. Israel, give me your thoughts on that game, man. That was interesting one. Not very
Yeah.
exciting until the end, but interesting to say the least.
Yeah, it was tough, man. It hurt, you know what I mean? Because it's one of those games where we're talking about it before, like, okay, it could be a trap game, it could be a trap game, but they should be able to handle them. They should have no problem. Auburn's not very good. Yeah, they got to go into the jungle, whatever. It's going to be tough, but I think they got it, and we're relatively optimistic heading into the things, and then. Another disappointing first half from Kentucky, another poor defensive night, another poor shooting night. Just tough for everybody. I mean, obviously, Owe career high 29. He played great. Doesn't matter. It means absolutely nothing now. But if it wasn't, really for him, Aberdeen with 15, Chandler with 10, I mean, this could have been a much worse of a loss than a 1 point loss at Auburn, especially, the bench combining for 20 or sorry, yeah, everybody else combining for 20 points besides those three. Diabate and Garrison, man, that big man play. I mean, we knew it was going to be tough when we lost Quaintance, and we kind of figured that he was going to be out for the rest of the year, and it was going to be hard, but I thought we would see some type of step up from Garrison in that situation. No, nothing.
Yeah. No, I think out of everyone on Kentucky, I may be wrong about this, but I'm like 99.9% sure. Everyone that's actively playing for Kentucky, aside from the walk-ons and those three that were injured, J-Lo, Jaden Quaintance, and Cam Williams, I believe that Brandon Garrison is averaging the least amount of points out of all active players. So that's a good point. You would have hoped slash expected that he would have stepped up, especially we talked about how Moreno is going to have a big impact with JQ out and how Garrison's going to need to step up his game. But aside from Moreno, like if Malachi Moreno was having a kind of like Yelovich having an extremely hard time adjusting as a freshman, in the paint, Kentucky would be so screwed.
Yeah.
There's really no other way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully Malachi has taken a leap this year as a freshman that nobody was really expecting to kind of really help Kentucky in those matchups in the post. But like you said, I mean, you shouldn't have to, but also you can't necessarily rely on him to be somebody who's going to go down there and bang with the big boys in the post like it's no problem. Like he's going to have a tough time down there. So you would expect to sub in your veteran big men leadership and let them get to work a little bit. No, no, not at all. Not even one little bit. I mean, 8 points between the two of them is ridiculous.
Yeah, you're not going to win a game. If it was just Diabate and Garrison combined for 8 points and everyone else did what they're supposed to do, and okay, you could look at that from a different angle. Out of the four guys coming off the bench, I think it was Jasper, Trent Noah, and these two, all of them combined for 8 points. And that is, you're not winning a game like that. You're not winning an SEC game like that. Probably not going to win an SEC tournament game like that.
No.
No matter what seed you get in the NCAA tournament, you're not winning an NCAA tournament game like that. And I think to me, that is the biggest reason. We're going to go into the foul call in a second. That's whatever you want to call that. That's a little iffy, but Kentucky lost this game themselves, and I made a TikTok about it. on my personal account. It's called at that sports journalist if anyone wants to check it out. But I
Little
made a video
subtle
talking
plug
about
there.
that. Yeah, I had to throw that in real quick. Um, but I made a video talking about that and how Mark Pope, well, I guess now we'll move to that foul call. He went off the mic. It was caught on a hot mic, but he walked out during the press conference and said it
You're not off
extremely
mic
bad.
until you are
Yeah.
out of that room. You are still in front of
He was
all
out
of
of the
those
room. He was in
media.
the hallway. You're not out of off the mic until you're
Yeah, I
in
guess
the locker room, I guess.
you're if you are surrounded by media members whatsoever and you are Mark Pope, you know that they are going to take every single soundbite opportunity they can to make you look like the villain.
Yeah.
It's
No, and
exactly what happened.
so we'll go to that. There was 14 seconds left. Kentucky had a 74 to 73 lead. Colin Chandler, Kentucky was inbounding the ball with 14 seconds under their own basket. Colin Chandler called with a push-off offensive foul. Auburn gets the ball back with 14 seconds. They drain it down to one, and Elijah Freeman hits a game winner where Malachi Moreno wasn't able. Kentucky did try another LSU full court heave, but
Yeah, I
it
mean
didn't
they ran the exact
work.
same play again. They really went
Yeah.
for it.
Dude, and the ball bobbled around a little.
I
He
know, and I was
picked it
like,
up and
no way.
dropped it.
No
Yeah.
way.
Could have had a shot there. But what Israel and I were referring to on the press conference was Mark Pope did his whole press conference extremely irate, very pissed off about the officiating throughout the whole game. But I would assume, and pretty much everyone that saw it would assume more so that last call on Chandler.
Yeah.
But Pope was leaving. He walked out of the press conference room, not quietly, screamed to Mitch Barnhart. Um, Take this with a grain of salt. I'm going to try and quote it, but don't quote it word for word. It was something along the lines of, Mitch, if these MFers try to find me for talking about the officiating, tell them to come find me because I didn't say anything at all.
Yeah, he
Something
was
along those
like
lines.
tell they can't find me because I didn't say anything. You know what I
About how
mean?
they cheated us.
Yeah,
That's
he's
what
like
they
I didn't
targeted.
say anything
Yes.
about how they cheated us. Them effers can't find me, Mitch.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly. He got fined
yeah,
$25,000.
they got him. They got his ass on
They
that
got
one for
they
sure.
got him good, 25
Yeah,
grand for that.
yeah,
And what I was trying to get to before where before I brought this up, now I'll say it. You can't blame the officiating. You can for that call. You can blame them because Auburn got the ball back with 14 seconds left,
mm,
whatever. Dude, your bench combined for 8 points. Your
yeah,
team did not have the best shooting
exactly.
night. Your top scorer, SEC preseason player of the year, had his career high night, and you still lost. That
Yep.
cannot be. That's what I was talking about on my TikTok. That cannot be the main point of emphasis. That cannot be what makes you mad enough to the point where you get fined. It can't be that. I would have rather him get fined 25K for screaming and cursing in public about how his bench scored 8 points.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 100%. If he's out there like screaming and crying about holding his team accountable for playing so bad, then that's a different thing because I think fans look at that and say, all right, this guy cares and he's fired up and he wants his team to be better. But no, he goes out there and cries about a foul call that, granted, wasn't the best call. And obviously, the SEC officiating has been tough the last few games and, has been roundabout and he's been very vocal about it. But there's 39 minutes and 40 seconds of basketball in that game that had nothing to do with that one foul call. And when
Yeah.
you get to the point for, okay, there's 14 seconds left and you're down or you're up by one, regardless, like when you're putting yourself in that situation, you can't blame the refs for that. You need to blame yourself because you shouldn't even have been in that scenario in the first place against a team like Auburn.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that Kentucky's lack of depth is really showing. Again, they are injured, but I keep bringing up the bench, but you have a four-man rotation coming off the bench
Yeah.
and they combined for 8 points. So again, there were some injuries, but I'm pretty sure, and I don't have to say this, I think the whole country knows at this point that Kentucky being the deepest team in the country is light years out the window. And that was something, even without injuries, with the way that everyone played in the beginning, I think that was something that flew out the window right away. And there's really no one to blame for this loss. And I'm not going to say except for Pope. Um, but he's obviously a main reason as to why they lost. But also the production from not just the bench, but everyone aside from DA, Colin Chandler, and OA.
Yeah.
You can't go down there, put up 74 points, and expect to win a game and get mad about a foul call like that. That's just my take on it. And now we'll move to something more Positive, I guess.
Yeah,
Kentucky,
I was gonna say positive with an asterisk and a grain of salt.
yeah. They beat South Carolina last night, Tuesday night, 72 to 63, moved to 18-10 overall in the SEC, or overall and 9-6 in the SEC. That game was painful. And I will say, in my 2 years of being a men's basketball reporter, my 4 years of being a reporter here at the UK, that may have been the most boring game that I've ever watched, and the most amount of bricks from both teams that I've ever seen been thrown up in a single game.
Yeah, it was ugly. I mean, it was putrid. I watching that game was like I don't want to say it was like watching a high school basketball game, but it was
Yeah,
almost like if you put, high school basketball level guys out there on that floor and give them some more time to score and a shot clock, basically. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
I'm sure a high school team is going to go out there and put out a similar performance as literally both of these teams. And like, sure, okay, UK gets a win, not a pretty one,
yeah,
not a win that's like okay, well, yeah, not a pretty one, not a good one, not like a against a good team, not any win that's going to make them look any better in any type of fashion. So it's just yeah, I mean, it's similar to what you said. It's like it's a win, and that's about it.
yeah. Yeah, and the Cats got it done 72 to 63, so it was a 9 point win. And if this isn't this right here should make it pretty clear as to how this game went. So Michi Johnson started the game off with a deep three. Right then and there, I was like, oh wow, here we go. Because he is one of their better players. He's not their leading point scorer, but he is one of their better players. And he hit that pretty deep three. But South Carolina took a 9-3 lead. They made, I don't think it was three in a row, but they got off to three threes. They were up 9-3. Then, if you want to know how boring it was, later on in the game with 8 minutes remaining in the entire game, second half, 8 minutes remaining, the score was 48-48. So not only was it extremely low scoring, but also Kentucky was tied with at the time, I haven't looked at the standings, at the time, the third worst team in the SEC standings. They were 13th place out of 16. So it was pretty bad. And I would say the only positive takeaway in a joking way, but also being so serious, is that Diabate scored double digits. He had 12 points for the first time
Yeah.
in over a month. The last time he did that was January 17th when Kentucky beat number 24 Tennessee in Tennessee. So there's a little bit of something there, but also, again, it was just a terrible game all around.
Yeah, I mean, there's like that's literally when you're talking about Mo Diabate scoring 12 points as like the
The highlight.
highlight of this game. It's like, what have we become, man, as Kentucky basketball to be getting excited over Mo Diabate scoring 12 points when it's like you get like a bad win against a bad team. So I there's not a lot to say, obviously, about that South Carolina win other than like they needed it and they got it. They're out of their
Yeah.
losing streak, right? They're not, that was the longest losing skid under Mark Pope at 3 games. They don't have to worry about that continuing anymore. Obviously, they were able to get past the whole fiasco at Auburn that went along, with the foul call and Mark Pope's comments post game, which was making everybody go crazy. I'm sure the locker room wasn't quiet about it either. I mean, it's a bigger moment for your
Yeah,
relatively
we saw
quiet head coach.
Ortega took to his Instagram story.
Yes, and deleted it very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he posted something. I don't remember exactly what
It
the
was
story said.
something
Do you
about the
remember?
refs ruining the game, pretty much.
Yeah,
I don't
something
know the
like that.
exact words, but
And
yeah.
I was like, oh man, like we're following coach on this one. Like, come on, dude, just pack it up and go put some shots up, man. Like that's you
Yeah.
know what I mean. Like just
Yeah.
hit the
Yeah.
gym. It's the only way is to just get better, like put your head down and get past it, get better. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean I think that's about all you got to say about that South Carolina game. I don't want to give it too much light of day because of how disgusting it was.
Yeah, I will just add in real quick. A positive that you could also be looked at as a negative. Kentucky led 59 to 57 with 2 minutes and 43 seconds left. They did finish the game on a 13 to 5 scoring run,
Yeah.
which is the positive part.
Yes.
The negative part, more inconsistency. They
Yeah.
should have been on 13 to 5 scoring runs against this terrible, pretty much South Carolina team the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been happening every 5 minutes.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a highlight that they closed the game like that.
No.
No, they should have opened the game with that, were like that halfway through, and closed the game like that. But
Yeah.
inconsistent cats, we know how that goes. And
Yeah, of
that's the
course.
craziest thing, man, is we just never know which team we're gonna get. We never
Yeah.
know which guy, obviously aside from OA, DA here and there and Chandler here and there, we never know who's gonna show up. We never know who's gonna be the second leading scorer because we always know, aside from South Carolina, we all know who the main scorer is gonna be. It's
Yeah.
gonna be OA. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
mean it's such a weird it's I mean the inconsistency of them all year and we were like hoping okay this team will find identity at some point and they'll be at one point we thought okay they're the cardiac cats man like they come back and they play horrible in the first half but they figure it out and they come back and they win games. Then they weren't doing that. And then it was like, okay, there goes that identity's right out the window. So now, I mean, it's their only identity is their lack of identity and their inconsistencies. And it's wild that we're 3 games from the end of the regular season. We have no idea what Kentucky team is going to be on the floor this Saturday.
yeah, and moving to this Saturday, the Cats got number 25 Vanderbilt, 2 p.m. tip-off. Second to last home game of the season. Next weekend, not this one coming up, the next following one, I believe they have Florida, or is it during
Yep.
the, no, no, it's
Yeah,
week.
they got to A&M on Tuesday, I believe, and then Saturday they got Florida.
Yeah, so last time Kentucky and Vanderbilt played was Kentucky's last blowout loss, 80 to 55 on January 27th, which was their worst loss to the Commodores since 2008. I would expect, no, I'm not going to expect actually. I'm going to hope.
Yeah.
I can't expect
You can't
anything.
expect anything. Yeah.
Yes, that Kentucky is going to be extremely pissed off and looking for revenge. Now, I will say the last time, or when Kentucky beat Arkansas, that was the game after they lost this bad to Vanderbilt. Colin Chandler and Otega Owe said in a post-game interview that they, as in the whole team, didn't do a good job at representing what it means to put on a Kentucky jersey. They didn't do a good job of putting on the jersey, meaning carrying all the weight and, play that comes with it. And I'm really interested to see how much weight those comments really hold because now it's not just you have a chance to put on the Kentucky jersey and represent them against another team. This is the team that made you say that quote after you lost by 35. And now, or what was it, 25? Yeah, and now I'm really interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean, it's crazy that it took a huge blowout loss for them to be like, hey, maybe we should play for the name on the front of the jersey instead of the name on the back. And that's been a huge topic of conversation all season because people are saying $22 million ain't playing like $22 million because they're not playing like they want to play for Kentucky. They're playing like they want to play for that bag and then go to the NBA. And it's like that's not what Mark Pope's philosophy is. And I think that just goes back around to the roster building, which obviously there's a lot of conversation surrounding that now. But I mean, like you said, to be in the situation where you get blown out that bad against a historically not very good basketball team, and then you are saying after the game, man, we really need to lock in and start playing for the name in the front of the jersey. And then you go out and prove a bunch after that you might not really be playing for that name on the front of the jersey. Like I hope that they do come back and with some fire under their ass and try and really go out there and put out a good performance and obviously win at home. I mean, it's your second to last home game of the year, and you've already been shaky at Rupp all season. Like you really need to solidify that win. And so I just obviously you don't know what you're gonna get out there, but I would agree with you in saying that I would expect, sorry, not expect, I would hope that they would be looking for revenge and really, pissed off after that last performance they had.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things that is kind of in the back of my mind heading into this game is that the last time they played Tyler Tanner and Tyler Nickel, shout out the Tyler gang, all three of
Yeah,
us.
right. I
Tyler
guess so,
Tanner
dude.
and Tyler Nickel scored 19 points each. Kentucky got out rebounded 43 to 37 and out assisted 13 to 8. And the reason that is my biggest concern is because Vanderbilt did not even have their second leading scorer, Duke Miles, playing, who is averaging now 16.4 points per game. He was out with an injury. He is healthy. So if you can't guard Tyler Nickel, you can't guard Tyler Tanner, and they each put up 19, you get out rebounded, you get out assisted, and that's without their second best or second most leading scorer. how is this going to go? And I think the only reason that I have a little slight bit of optimism in my head about this is because it's at Rupp. But like you mentioned, we still never have any idea how that's going to go because look at Missouri. Everyone thought they were chilling because it was against, a not strong enough team in Rupp. They lost. Same thing with Georgia, which is a little, or definitely worse. They lost at home at Rupp. So that's the only thing I'm holding on to, but I seriously don't know which way this is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's really impossible for us to predict. And we've seen them do well.
I will say real quick, not impossible for us to predict. I think
Yes.
impossible for the country to
Yeah,
predict.
literally impossible for everybody involved with Kentucky, or I guess college basketball, to predict
Yeah.
because no one's going to tell you what's going to happen in this game. And if they tell you confidently, they're lying because you can't possibly be confident when predicting a Kentucky basketball game this season. So I think we've seen this team do well defending against a team's top player in the past. Obviously, like against Arkansas, they held down Acuff pretty tightly in the first half. Granted, he went off in the second half and played great, but they were still able to squeeze out a win. So I hope, I would guess that they might be able to, kind of pick a guy and just if we can lock down Duke Miles, we don't have to worry as much. Now, granted, that's not true, obviously, because you have Tyler Tanner, Tyler Nickel who can go out there and light it up. But it's like if you cut off one thing, then it's one less thing to worry about. And I think that's kind of how they looked at it with Acuff because they locked him down pretty hard in the first half.
Yeah, and I think that this game, aside from just the fact that it's their second to last home game, the season's winding down, this has very massive implications on the SEC tournament bracket. I think Kentucky's very much out of that top four double by
Oh
now.
yeah.
But aside from that, the NCAA tournament, where in the beginning it was a serious concern that they weren't going to make it. They won 8 of 9, got a few ranked wins. Now they're guaranteed to be in there, go on a 3 game losing streak, get a little shaky. But in the most recent bracketology by ESPN's Joe Lunardi, Kentucky is a projected 8 seed, meaning that if they found a way, they would play number 9 Clemson in Joe Lunardi's bracketology. But if they're an 8 or 9 seed, they're playing someone that's nearly similar to them. If they find a way, which again, don't put it past them that they would lose that, but if they found a way to win that 8-9 game, playing as an 8-9 meaning bearing a massive upset, a historical upset, which would only be the third time ever, I believe. Kentucky would have to play a 1 seed. And I could probably name about 50 teams in the country that could smoke Kentucky, let alone Michigan, Duke, or
Yeah.
Arizona, or one of those.
Yeah, 100%. There's not a shadow of a doubt in my mind that any of these one seeds would steamroll Kentucky by 30 plus. Like when
Yeah.
you look at these one seeds, which already are some of the best one seeds we've seen in a while, like the top four teams this year are really, really, really good. I mean, Duke just had that upset win the other day and they slid up a little bit. So it's like you see teams kind of slide. You don't know exactly who's going to be the top four. I mean, Arizona, Michigan for sure.
Yeah.
You don't know Iowa State could be up in
I think
there,
Duke,
Duke
Houston,
or
Houston, I think had back-to-back losses, but
yeah,
nonetheless,
exactly.
they would all kick the crap out of Kentucky.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would take the whole top 25 realistically to beat Kentucky unless it's at home against a rivalry team. It's like in like those implications against Tennessee and against Arkansas. But when you look at it from just a standpoint of, okay, this is going to be a neutral site game and Kentucky fans, yeah, travel well, but that's not going to mean anything for this because sure, you
They
could
travel
sell
in their
out.
own arena and they still lose home games.
Exactly, exactly. You can sell out Rupp Arena with 20,000 seats and then get walloped at home in an embarrassing loss. So it obviously really means nothing. But yeah, I think if there is some way Kentucky can get out and get Vandy and get Florida and escape that 8 seed, then that would be beautiful and exactly what they need. But not happening, first of all. And second of all, oof, this if they get into an 8 seed situation or a 9 seed or really anybody where they're ending up against a top, I guess a 1 through 4 seed, realistically, I would take all of them to beat Kentucky, no problem.
Yeah, by at least 15 plus
Yeah,
too.
100%.
So with that being said, let's attempt at some predictions for this game on Saturday. I'll start off. I predicted a law or a win at Auburn, so now I'm going to predict a loss to Vanderbilt. See what I'm doing there? I'm not going to
Yeah.
say it, but
Yeah,
you see
okay.
this.
I see what you're doing.
So
I
I'm
see
going
what
to
you
say Vanderbilt 88 to 70, 88 to 81 Vanderbilt.
Okay. 88-81 Vanderbilt. Okay. I like that. I I don't know if after these last two performances Kentucky could fathom scoring in the 80s. Um
I agree with that, but I'm just hoping again, I'm just
Yeah,
banking a
no. I
little bit of
totally
rough
get your
magic.
drift there. I
Yeah.
definitely get your drift. But yeah, I think it'll be, I mean, give me like 87 to like 75. I think Vandy's going to handle them. I don't really think, from what we've seen in the last 6 months, not, I guess not even that long, 4 or 5 months from this team, they can't compete with Vanderbilt. I mean, they can hardly compete with teams like Auburn and South Carolina. They're not going to go and compete with Vanderbilt in that setting when especially this means so much for Vanderbilt's SEC tournament implications and their NCAA seeding. I just cannot see Kentucky going out there and getting a big win at home, which is
Yeah.
horrible to say. It sounds so bad to say it, but
Dude, why
it's
would you
just the
think
way it
anything
is.
else? Why, yeah, why
Exactly.
would
Why
you
should
think
I expect
otherwise?
anything else?
Yeah, exactly. And I remember saying that with that Gonzaga game. We were talking about it before any of this stuff even got worse, better, whatever you want to call it, compared to that point in the season. But at that point, it was what has Kentucky showed us to make us believe that they're going to go down to Nashville and beat Gonzaga?
Yeah.
They lost by what, 25, 30 points.
Yeah. And they
So
still haven't showed us anything that makes us think that they're going to be able to compete with the top 25 team, really.
yeah, exactly. Even in their home arena, I would
Yeah.
agree with that for sure. But that just about does it for this episode from us. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Next week, we will have, I'm not going to announce it yet, actually, but next week, plan on a guest speaker on here.
Yes.
We will have someone on here to talk about the Cats. And by that point, I believe the SEC tournament bracket will be out. So we're going to be doing a
Yep.
big preview on that. So, until next time, we'll see where the Cats go this weekend, and then next weekend, obviously at Texas A&M. But one last time from here, I'm Tyler Russell. That's Israel Schill, and we will catch up with you guys with a guest, maybe more.